while it was defeated, it wasn't for lack of trying. And while it was defeated, it's not totally, completely dead. Like so many other really bad ideas, it never really truly just dies. It's just been really postponed. Now, postponed doesn't mean that it will ever come to fruition. So let us celebrate, at least in the short term, that this horrible idea from Dow Constantine to close the youth detention center in King County because he is an abolitionist and an extremist is dead. He leaned into the defund movement. He leaned into listening to the demands, kowtowing to the demands of the BLM radicals back in 2020 and 2021. He decided to move forward with this idea and stayed with the idea despite the fact that we've seen a surge in juvenile crimes. A surge in juvenile crimes. Juveniles committing violent crime. But we're supposed to shut down the juvenile detention center and put these kids fresh off of a murder into some group home where the people who were developing the plan couldn't agree to lock the doors at those group homes. That was the plan. So Reagan Dunn, King County council member, Republican, comes to the rescue, gets in the way. He offers this motion that basically said, oh, no. We're not closing this down. We're going to keep it open, forcing the King County Council to take a position. A King County Council that is filled with folks who are very, very, very far to the left, who want to continue to have a future in politics. And they know that the public right now is not where they were back in 2020, that the idea of closing down the juvenile detention center is incredibly, I think the technical term is stupid and dangerous. And so he put them on the record. Now, of course, they couldn't just go with his motion because you can't allow a Republican to win anything. So they devised an amendment that basically replaced the language so that the jail, sure, it'll be open for now, but they're going to continue to look at alternatives to juvenile detention. Now, one alternative, and I did a lot of research today. I was looking around the globe, frankly, to see what a potential viable solution could be, an alternative. Because obviously, there's, the pie in the sky ideas that we know aren't going to happen. There are some plans out there that we know can never actually work. And I was able to find a plan, an alternative. Did you know that you can get a magic wand and you can wave it and then get the juveniles to stop committing the drive-bys and the murders?
Why didn't anybody think of that sooner?
Oh my God, I found it. I read it in a book about Hogwarts of some kind. Are you familiar?
Harry Potter?
Yeah. It actually works. You just wave a little magic wand and all of the juveniles, they stop committing drive-by shootings. Really weird how it was underneath our noses in one of the most popular books ever.
What was the name of that spell?
I don't remember. It was weird. Too many characters, and it was so long. That's why I was in my office all day, just reading this stuff. Now, Gurmai Zahale, he is a King County council member. He is going to run for the King County executive position once Dow leaves. He still has not yet announced he's not running for re-election. He's not running for re-election. It's going to be Gurmai. Claudia Balducci, another council member, is thinking about running. It's going to be John Wilson, the King County assessor. I told you that 3 months ago. That has not changed. But Gurmai is out there, and he voted for this compromise because he doesn't want to scare off the voters. But let's be clear. If he's in that position that Dow Constantine currently holds as King County executive, he's going to be even worse.
I think where we landed is more comprehensive, and it also signals our desire to evolve.
Oh, he's got a desire to evolve. Thank you so much. Now, what are his evolved positions? Oh, I'm going to still do it. I'm just going to do it later on so it doesn't hurt me when I run for King County executive. Now, I always find it both instructive and entertaining to watch some of the public comment sections at virtually any meeting in any city. It doesn't matter. We could be looking at the public comments from Olympia or Puyallup or Bellevue, it doesn't matter. They're always instructive because for the most part, it's just the professional activists who show up. The rest of us have jobs that we can't just go hang out at a King County Council meeting at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. Most of us have work. But I find it instructive, not just entertaining, to watch this because it tells you where these people are coming from. It tells you their ideology, their belief system. And we play this audio not just so we can understand them, but to understand that these are the people who have been in charge for the last 3.5 years. If you want to know why we find ourselves in the position that we currently find ourselves in, understand it's because the people in positions of power, and they're virtually all Democrats, unfortunately, have been listening to these people who tell them why we should be, in this case, closing a youth detention center.
What actually keeps us safe? If you house us, if you feed us, if you give education, if you give basic resources.
That's what keeps us safe. Because we have never had a criminal who lived in a home and was fat and well fed. Did you know that?
Wealthy people don't do bad things, right?
People with homes don't do bad. Remember, listen to what it is she's asking for.
What actually keeps us safe? If you house us, if you feed us, if you give education, if you give basic resources.
She seems very educated, by the way. So I don't think she's ever going to be a potential threat. Here's another activist.
This country has invested in a cycle of harm and traumatization that ensures that you will continue to have an incarcerated population.
That's Nikita Oliver, who was formerly a Seattle city council candidate who lost, a mayoral candidate who lost, who then went to Chicago, and her life was worse there, so she came back here to ruin ours. Creating new words, traumatization. I don't think that's a word, is it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a new one.
Traumatization. Yeah. All the trauma we're creating. Now, of course, the victims themselves don't commit any trauma at all. And when I say victim, I mean the bad guys. But we can't call them bad guys. You're not supposed to call the criminals the bad guys. You're supposed to treat them as if they're the victims of a society that oppress them, that force them into a life of crime. But see, there are real victims in all of this, like the families of the person some of these people kill. We're not supposed to pay attention to any of their trauma. We're not supposed to deliver them any justice. We're supposed to pretend that the true victims don't really exist. Why? Because they throw out the laziest argument of them all. What's the laziest argument that activists use? What's the one word that they use that is the key word that what they're about to say is all gunk?
Disproportionality.
Disproportionality. If you hear the word disproportionate in any way when an activist argues, understand they think you're stupid.
About half of these detained youth are Black. When the public declared Black Lives Matter in 2020, Constantine said, redemption begins by shifting public dollars away from systems that are rooted in oppression and into those that maintain public health and safety and help people on the path to success.
In her argument that the people who are arrested, the juveniles who are arrested, are quote-unquote disproportionately Black, does she at any point say they didn't commit the crime? No. They never say that. Whenever you hear a disproportionate argument, they never say that the behavior didn't actually occur. They just look at a data point, and they want you to infer from that data point that it must be simply because of racism or sexism or transphobia or whatever it happens to be. She's not saying that the Black juveniles who have been arrested and put in juvenile detention didn't commit a crime. She's not arguing that there's a whole bunch of white people or Asian people or Native American people who are committing crimes and not getting caught due to the racist policies. That's not what she's saying. She wants you to infer that there's some sort of racism going on. Racism exists. Racism does not usually result in someone randomly murdering, say, an 80-year-old dog walker. Usually.
And what I find to be a capricious and despicable argument that because of a very small handful of very violent offenders that we really are struggling to find a better solution to. We need to maintain something for decades, for tens and dozens of predominantly disproportionately black and brown children.
Oh, he threw in the disproportionality argument again. And what was his basic argument? What was his basic argument? Just because we have a handful of vicious murderers does not justify having a jail. That's what his argument was. Okay, let's go with that logic for a moment. What do we do with the people who did just commit those vicious murders? I'm asking for a friend.
Guess you got to let them go.
Do we just let them go? I mean, it doesn't justify. I mean, so what? We have a few serial killers. It doesn't justify having a jail. My God. Now, not everyone who showed up to that meeting yesterday was on the crazy side. Some folks showed up because they have in their family victims of the very people who are now in juvenile detention that the crowd wanted to be released.
My name is Tanya Lester. I'm a mother of 3, but I am here speaking on behalf of my 17-year-old daughter who was brutally assaulted at school during passing. Her attackers were minorities, and she was specifically told that her white skin would not protect her, and her white skin got what it deserved. The young lady who attacked my daughter has been in and out of the system. Diversion has not helped her. She was on probation when she attacked my daughter. My daughter has every right, just like every other child in this room, to be able to attend school and be safe. And unfortunately, some kids need to go on to a juvenile detention center because the other things are not working.
Put me in the group of folks who don't have an appetite for throwing a bunch of kids in jail for low-level crimes. I think that we can save the kid who steals from the 2 remaining Bartell drugstores that still actually are in business. Most of them shut down because of the people who went in and stole a bunch of the Butterfingers and the beers and the what have you. I don't want to throw those kids in jail. I want to actually get them help. And that's where a true restorative justice program that focuses on giving that kid the support they need to get on the right path actually can work. But we can't forget that there are moms like that who saw their kid suffer significant and actual trauma as a result of a crime by someone who most likely was given 4, 5, 6, 7 chances, all before turning 16 or 17. Those people exist, and they deserve justice. They deserve peace. They deserve to feel safe. We all deserve to feel safe in our own neighborhoods. And there wasn't anyone there yesterday who seemed to care about what it is that her daughter went through. They seem to be more concerned about the kids who commit the assaults rather than the kids who get assaulted. And in that world, things are backward. And dare I say, when the people are showing up and they're fighting for the side of the criminals, they're the unserious and frankly dangerous people that need to be pushed aside. And I'm glad even if this was just a temporary win, they've been pushed aside.